Mark making is the act of pulling your pencil across a page and not hesitating and kind of sketching it in very lightly until it shows up, but saying, there's my line, a definitive line. The way you can create solid marks, well, at least one way, is to create targets. A starting point and a finish point. There's my mark. Oops, I missed. There's my mark. Got it. Tag. And that's how we practice mark making, and that's also how we practice our dexterity. Dexterity can be acquired. It is not something you're born with perfectly. It's something that you build up. The more you do something, the greater your dexterity. That's why sports players that are professional are really good at what they do. Their dexterity is very high. Now, not only is it precision in putting a line down on the page and how perfectly straight or how wobbly can we make it, but also what kind of markings do we leave behind that look confident? So a confident little circle, for example, is going to be something like this, which is actually an oval. A circle is something more like this, which is broken, wobbly, here and here. But no less, the way I put my outline around it, I am sure that's a circle, right? Instead of kind of, sketching it in. Look how long that took. When I could just say, look, there's my circle, or even better yet, holding my pencil this way is going to give me an even looser approach because I'm drawing from my shoulder. If I keep my pencil nice and light, I can make all sorts of Easter eggs and no ovals. But if I learn how to create an oval correctly, by knowing that there are 4 points that I need to get to around in an arc, eventually I can make ovals. And then I can go and do them in a single stroke. Just like Superman in a single bound can leap over tall buildings, right? And in fact, that's what I can do. If I need to go from here, or if I need to go from here to there in a single bound, I can do that. Because I have a confident way of getting there, because I know my strokes, and I know my hand, and I know the marks that I'm making from my pencil, enough to fake it and make you feel like I could get from there to there. But actually I used After Effects and bent the line. Now, if we take straighter lines and we learn how to do them in a straightness that helps us feel like we're creating solid surfaces, then we can freehand the heck out of things, right? And we don't need rulers or guides or templates or any of that other stuff. Now, if I didn't have a camera over my head, I could probably sit here and do that a little bit quicker. Yes, thank you. Good recovery, right? Haha. Cuboids. Cuboid world. Now, when you're doing other shapes that have a repetition to them, what makes them doable is your confident line work and knowing that when you look at a line, you're making something very specific. If you kind of sort of sketch it in, it's kind of sort of going to look a little wonky. And if you kind of sort of go a little slow, well, the more coffee you drink is going to get in the way of the line, and the line isn't going to look solid. The marks aren't going to be clear. So, mark making, they can be nice and soft and almost invisible. They can be dark and aggressive. They can be calligraphic, which means that I'm just looking at a couple marks and fusing them together, right? And let's do that very quickly here. Let's make a confident shape. And then in that confident shape, let's put some confident angles in it. In fact, why don't I do this a little bigger? Confident shape. The perspective of that shape, which now makes it somewhat form-like, and now we have form because we have a corner. And all these lines so far are confident lines, and I'm confident enough to pull them and know that they're going to go in the direction I need them to go in to some degree because, well, I'm pulling them and not you. No. Because I've done them so many times, I know they're going to work. I know they're going to work. If they don't work, then what was all that practice for? What did I go to art school for? What did I spend all those hours when my teacher told me to practice and practice and practice? What did I do that for if I don't think I have confident pen strokes? So every mark I'm making has some kind of confidence to it. I know where things need to go, and I know how to put them in relationship to each other, and I know how to weld them together because they are a solid shape, and I know how to get the center line to reestablish itself when those shapes change direction and volume, and I know these things in my pencil strokes because I'm confident enough that I know the information. And the two together, plus the mileage, plus all the mileage, all those hundreds of years in the dungeons, really helped out. And so did the whip when it was cracking really loudly over my head. And actually on my back. You should see the welts. They're amazing. I want somebody to do a landscape of them. My teachers whipped me so hard. So, you know, we put them all together and it creates this volume. And when you do these marks, you can see clearly where things go, no matter how light or how heavy-handed you make them. Now, mark making is also not just putting something down confidently in a constructed sense, but it's also the marks you leave behind that look so spontaneous. And also how composed they are in relationship to each other, right? I want my marks to feel somewhat volumetric and balanced to each other. I want them all to feel good with each other. I don't want any one of the markings that I leave behind to feel more eccentric or more out of place than all the other ones, or just lackluster. I want them all to be kind of this flourish of sorts. So when I put something down, I'm putting it down and I'm being definitive about it, and then after the fact I can go back in and I can reclaim it, I can erase something out, but I'm not going to erase any of these marks down. I'm actually surprised at how nice they all came together. God, I'm good. Damn, I'm good. Pat myself on the hand. No, seriously though, there's a certain kind of mark making that you do, and when the marks come together, the composition can actually be entertaining. Right, there we go. Box it in. On its own, it's just a mark. Boxed in, it's a composition. And this composition, what it needs is something over here, or up there, over here. Over here. I'm not so confident. My shape is sucking. It needs some balance. And when you feel unsure about the shape, just keep going. Or stop for a second, analyze it, how it relates back to the other shapes, and kind of pick your pathway and then go. I'm just winging this, and I'm pretty secure with how things are coming together. But I've also done so many compositional thumbnails, as you've seen in some of the ones that I was displaying in that lecture, that I know when I put a marking down when it's going to look ugly. And, well, unless I'm really not conscious of what I'm doing, I can't put down an ugly mark. I'm so damn good. Pat my back and my hand again. No. When I'm thinking hard about this, I'm trying too hard to demonstrate good things. when I'm just drawing, I think is when I can make bad markings and then I can show you them. But everything that I'm doing right now has sort of a deliberateness to it, and I'm not really trying to go there. I really am not. But when I put something down, it's just my nature to try to design it the right way. And so the marks can veer towards looking better than not the more you practice them. But the first few you put down, you're not even going to know if you made a good mark or not. I mean, it's just going to be like some random scribble going and going and going and going and going until you don't know, and you've gone over and shoot. You've overshot the whole markings thing, and you've added too many things to it, and it just becomes this gigantic mess on the page. Or it can have this nice elegance to it, and all it needs is a few bolder marks to make that so, right? Those few arcs that I threw in there linked all those shapes together and made them more confident looking, even though they still don't feel completely confident because they're a bit timid. I don't know what I'm drawing yet, but they link together. And let's look at them in a composed space. And I'd say we've got ourselves a nice little 60s painting here. All we got to do is get out the big squeeze tubes and squeeze it all out, and we got ourselves some throw-ups for the 1960s. But no, anyway, this could actually become a nice ship. Boba Fett comes to mind if we were to, put the other wing over here and put the cockpit somewhere right around in here. We would have his ship. And I'm completely spacing on the name right now for whatever reason. And I am a Star Wars geek, but I can't slave one. There we go. Or it can be the beginnings of a house, if we were to think in terms of modern design. And this would be like a steel arch that connects into the ground and the post continues through in an arc. Then we can put the home up here, and we can have all of these sort of striated levels that take us up into these upper deckways up here, and we can darken all of this in just so that we can wrap our mind around this, because I'm the only one here that can see a modern home in it, I think. Let me put some decks out here though, and I'm going to dumb it down just for all of you who can't see these things. Doggone it, you ruined my design. Right, and then we have a landing pad over here for our fly ship, because we know that in the future here, when we have homes like this, we're going to have some way of getting there without having to walk up all these stairs. But this is for when the pizza delivery boy comes along on his bicycle and he can't get up there because he doesn't have the special fly car. Couple different antennas for our different HD and 3D communicators, because we know that in the future we're not going to be watching regular television anymore. We're going to be immersed in this virtual net, and these are going to be the things that are going to attract it to our homes. And then somewhere in this midsection is the entertainment deck, and somewhere down around in here is the sleeping quarters.